Welcome into NESN Bets Kickoff. George Balekji here with Claudia Bellofatto. We're taking a look at Sunday Night Football. Jets at Raiders, New York and Vegas. This one to pick 'em. Jets -1 on the spread with a total of 36.5. Claudia, in a game of Zach Wilson against Aiden O'Connell, where do you bet this one? You're looking at the total or the side?
There's no other way than to bet the under. The only issue is, of course, bookmakers are looking out for themselves in terms of liability, so they open this number really low, 37.5. But even so, it's all under money down to 36.5. And yes, I'm crazy enough to say I'd probably still take this under. You said it, Aiden O'Connell, Zach Wilson. These are two bottom 5 offenses. They can't get anything going. And if anything, the majority of their strength would be in the run game. So if they're smart, they would stick to that and just run the ball as much as possible. It's an under game for me. I played the under 37, but wouldn't be surprised if it's even lower than 36.
Yeah, the game I always like to play with you guys when we're talking totals. What's the final score? And the one I conjured up in my head, 16-10, Jets win. But I'll stick with the under in this one because I think either way, that's what we see the score go. The Jets want to go into Vegas and leave with the win. You get up, you kick field goals, you get in the red area. Zach Wilson, can you have your 4th straight game without an interception? That's why I think the Jets walk away with the win, but I'm more confident betting the over. Because let's say the Raiders do pull it off at home. Antonio Pierce continues this run by Vegas. That Jets defense is elite. Aiden O'Connell had a clean sheet last week against the Giants, but that team stinks. This is a top 3 defense in the league. I think they keep the scoring low on both sides. It's also, like you said, we're seeing the rushing props higher than passing and receiving. The game script to me screams, run the ball, get out with the win for either team. I'd lead under in this one. And you mentioned what it opened up at. To go down just a point shows you're still getting a good number when it comes to the total. Now we're talking, you mentioned run game. Let's take a quick look at better bets. Josh Jacobs over 67.5 rushing yards, or Breece Hall at 65.5. So high props for both RB1s. What are you thinking in this one between the two running backs?
Yeah, this one I was a bit torn on. And just quickly, I do want to say I'm totally with you. The Jets have the edge because of the defense. I'd maybe give them a little bit bigger of an edge than the books are. So because it's a pick 'em, I do see the value with the Jets. And you can always live bet. Keep that in mind because you're not really getting much of an advantage in terms of points or spread on either side. If one team comes out hot and scores in the first few minutes, that line is going to change significantly. So keep an eye on the live betting. In terms of the better bet, the reason I'm torn is there is so much talent in both of these guys. Jacobs coming off of a 98-yard game, but he cashed the under when you're looking at the 67.5 line the 2 weeks before that. So the consistency hasn't been there a ton for him. And I like the matchup a lot more for Breece Hall. We've been trashing on this Raiders defense for a reason because they're not good. And they're really not good. One of the worst against the run, bottom 5, allowing the 3rd most rush attempts, 2nd most rush yards to the running back position. And Breece Hall is one of the most explosive backs in the league, 5.2 yards per carry. That's top 5. So when I look at 65.5 rush yards, he might not even need that many attempts, although the Raiders are going to give it to him. But we've seen him, George, cash this in 1 or 2 carries before.
Yeah, I mean, now you have Antonio Pierce, who's interim head coach, obviously a defensive background, made a living being a linebacker for the Giants. He's going to know that for his defense to thrive, they have to put the game in Zach Wilson's hands. But still, I think the Jets, with Nathaniel Hackett figuring things out, they stay stubborn, they stay committed. Because end of the day, the Raiders' run defense is awful this year. Breece Hall is their guy. You mentioned how explosive he is per carry, averaging over 5 yards a rush. I like him at this number. He had 177 against Denver. Don't forget that. He has home run hitting ability. In 1 run, he can hit this number. In 2 or 3, he can get the over on this one as well. I have more faith in him than Josh Jacobs because at the opposite end of it, what Robert Saleh is going to want to do with his defense, especially with an elite front 7 and elite defensive line, make Aiden O'Connell beat you. And I don't think that can happen. Josh Jacobs, they shut him down. They don't give him space to run. Try to make Aiden O'Connell throw the ball when his weapons really aren't that great on the outside this season. He has Hunter Renfrow, I know, but the corners, the safety play for the Jets is great. One thing that jumped out to me, and I bet on this last week, it did cash. Zach Wilson, no interceptions. You could get it plus 120 on DraftKings right now. Sounds crazy, but this is the new Zach Wilson. Even when he doesn't throw the ball well, he still doesn't throw an INT against the Chargers. I'm going to dip back into that well. I'm going to say no interceptions for Zach Wilson tonight, especially at plus money. That's why I love this bet.
Yeah, relatively clean play from him. I don't hate that at all. If it was a different matchup defensively, I'd probably disagree with you. But in this spot, this is the opportunity for him to cash that, and market's giving you a pretty good edge there. I want to talk about line movement on some of these props because we talk about it a lot when it comes to sides and totals, but this is very true for props. And most interestingly is the books don't adjust across the board like sides. Usually we'll say, okay, we're seeing some 2.5s pop up, but mostly 2s. And then at one point, you're basically going to see 2.5 across the board. That's not always the case with props. So right now, if you look at Breece Hall, 65.5 at one shot. This is as high as 69.5. Attempts for him, 15.5, but there's 16.5s out there. And as you know, anybody watching that has bet those hooks, a few yards, a few attempts, that can really make a difference. So big movement as well when it comes to Aiden O'Connell and Wilson. Both of their props. O'Connell as low as 194.5 passing yards, as high as 207.5. Wilson as low as 199.5, as low as high as 205.5. So please shop around. The way you can do that is going to sites like FTN Prop Shop. You plug in a name, it shows you every book and the different numbers. Long-term profitability wise, you do not want to be chasing numbers, which we always talk about, but you also don't want to give yourself a disadvantage going over a higher number when you can get a lower one. It's literally just a matter of shopping around. It does take a little bit more time, but it's much better in the long run.
Yeah, same example. Remember when we were looking at passing props for the Colts-Patriots games, DK and FanDuel literally had Mac Jones' numbers flipped. 227.5 in one book, 222.5 in the other, and the same thing for Gardner Minshew. Smartest thing you can always do, shop around, find the good number. Aiden O'Connell, though, 199.5. He had 209 last week, or if you get him at 207, I like the under either way. I just think this Jets defense gets after it. They can rush 4, drop all the guys back, 7 back into coverage. I just don't see him having a good day. I see him coming back down to earth because don't forget, now everything we spoke about with Josh Jacobs' usage, there's a new coaching staff and a new play caller. But the play caller for the Raiders now, this will be his second game ever calling an NFL game. Obviously, Robert Saleh and his coaching staff on their side, a lot more experience. So I just really don't like Aiden O'Connell in this spot. I'm going to stay away from him altogether. But still, your point remains, and I agree. Always shop around. Use the resources we have, everything. The apps on your phone, the websites that are at your disposal as well to make sure you find the best number. You want to give yourself the best chance possible to come a profit on Sundays, right?
Yep, and on NESN Bets, if you're on NESNBets.com watching, or if you're on Facebook, go to NESNBets.com because we have an odds shopping page, basically. It's a live odds page where we're going to show you the sides, the totals. When I keep talking about this number opened here, now we're seeing money this way. We have a website that shows you all of that. It's on NESNBets.com, and you can actually click on the book. So I was just talking about shopping around. This is for sides and totals specifically, but we do the shopping for you. And then, and this is, I sound like a salesperson. I'm not, because I actually use the website myself. It's very helpful. But say FanDuel has a better edge, a better number than DraftKings. They're right next to each other, and all you have to do is click to it. It brings you right to the book. I promise if you put this in your handicapping process, you're going to become a much better and much more profitable bettor.
The 5 minutes it takes to look from book to book, or like you said, just go to NESNBets.com. We do the heavy lifting for you, and the brilliant people that built our website and app for us, that'll make you that much more of a bettor. You want to give yourself the best chance possible to bet. Claudia, I could not agree more. All right, so Sunday night, we started the day with Gardner Minshew against Mac Jones. We're going to end the day, Aiden O'Connell against Zach Wilson.
Scheduled together. I mean, come on.
Just the quarterback matchups the NFL wanted. We'll see on this one. Again, you know, we're both towards the under. We both like the Jets in this one, but make sure to stay locked in. As always, NESNBets.com, NESN360, NESN YouTube, and tune in Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. is Lunchline, 5:30, Ultimate Betting Show. Claudia, Travis Thomas, Sammy P. Every once in a while, you'll catch myself on there as well. We have you guys locked in with the best bets possible. And of course, tomorrow night before Monday Night Football, right here, NESN Bets Kickoff, priming you up for a Monday night matchup between the Bills as well as they host the Broncos. Claudia, thanks so much for spending your Sunday with me. Best betting.
Thanks, George.